listen before anything else. I need you to hear this with your whole heart. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's power. And if you learn how to stand still, how to breathe without fighting for space, everything meant for you will rise toward you like metal to a magnet. Those first 10 seconds, that's the moment I want you to feel the truth crack something open inside you, because we live in a world where everyone is shouting to be seen, shouting to be chosen, shouting to be loved, shouting to be enough. And somewhere along the way, we started believing that if we weren't loud, if we weren't constantly proving ourselves, we would be forgotten. But the truth is so much softer and so much more powerful. Silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is the birthplace of clarity. It's where your spirit reorganizes itself. It's where your intuition gets loud. It's where your real identity rises without the weight of pleasing anyone. When you step into your silence, you step into a room where no one else's expectations are allowed. It is your ground, your truth, your sacred territory. Noise might get attention, yes, but silence gets respect. Noise is desperate. Silence is self-assured. Noise says, please notice me. Silence says, I already know who I am. And that energy, that quiet, steady-rooted energy is what pulls the right people, the right opportunities, the right love, and the right life toward you. It's not because you chase them, not because you begged for them, but because you finally became someone who no longer needed noise to feel valuable. This journey we're about to walk through together, it's not about disappearing. It's about rising quietly, powerfully, intentionally, because your silence will attract what noise never could. There's a moment in every person's life when they get tired of explaining themselves, tired of defending their worth, tired of performing strength for people who refuse to see it. And in that moment, silence becomes more than a choice. It becomes self-respect. Silence is not you pulling away from the world. Silence is you pulling away from noise that never deserved your energy in the first place. We are taught from an early age that being quiet means being passive, weak, or invisible. But here's the truth that no one teaches you until life forces it upon you. Silence is where you stop abandoning yourself for the comfort of others. Silence says, I don't need to argue to prove I'm right. I don't need to fight to prove I'm worthy. I don't need noise to prove I matter. It is the space where you choose your peace over someone's approval, where you choose clarity over chaos, where you choose dignity over reaction, and something powerful happens the moment you stop reacting to everything around you. The world starts revealing who truly belongs in your life. People who only love the loud, accessible, always available version of you might drift. Let them. People who depended on your constant explanations will feel confused. Let them. People who were drawn to your noise but not your soul will fall away. Let them. Because silence makes your boundaries visible in ways words never could. It says, I am not arguing, I am not chasing, I am not convincing. I am simply choosing myself. And choosing yourself is the loudest declaration of self-worth you will ever make. Silence doesn't shrink you, it refines you. It doesn't isolate you. It elevates you. It doesn't break relationships. It reveals the ones that were already cracked. Silence isn't the end of your voice. It's the beginning of your truth. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always roar, doesn't always push, doesn't always break through. Sometimes strength is the quiet inhale before the storm. Sometimes it's the choice to pause instead of react. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay silent. Silence is where your inner strength finally gets room to breathe. Think about it. When you stop speaking to be understood, you start listening to understand yourself. And that shift, that sacred shift, changes everything. In silence, you hear the truth behind your feelings. In silence, you recognize the wounds you've been avoiding. In silence, you meet the parts of yourself you've ignored for years. You stop rushing, you stop performing, you stop pretending. Strength isn't built in moments of noise, it's built in moments of stillness. It's in the late night thoughts you've been running from. It's in the quiet mornings when your heart whispers what your mind refuses to say. It's in the calm after the chaos when you finally realize, I survived that, I grew from that, I'm becoming someone new because of that. Silence teaches you resilience without the world watching. It teaches you how to stand tall without applause. It teaches you how to rebuild without announcing your every step. And when you learn to sit in silence without feeling empty, that's when you know you've unlocked something rare, the ability to be enough for yourself. Kind of inner strength, it starts pulling new things towards you, new opportunities, new peace. new people who don't fear your quiet because they understand its depth. Noise demands attention. Strength embodied in silence commands respect. You don't have to shout to be powerful. You don't have to explain to be understood. You don't need an audience to validate your journey. Sometimes the quietest chapters of your life are the ones where you grow the most. And when you rise from them, you rise unshakable. There's a unique truth that only reveals itself in silence. The difference between what you want and what you truly need. Because when life gets loud, everything feels urgent. Every desire feels essential. Every emotion feels final. But when you step into silence, even for a moment, the fog begins to lift. Silence is a filter, a gentle, powerful filter that separates the temporary from the meaningful. When you stop talking, stop explaining, stop convincing, you begin to see with sharper eyes. You begin to feel with a clearer heart. You begin to understand what is guiding you and what is distracting you. Wants are loud, needs are quiet. Once shout, needs whisper. Once can overwhelm your mind, but needs speak directly to your soul. And it's in silence that you finally hear the difference. Maybe you wanted a certain relationship to work, but silence shows you that your soul was starving in it. Maybe you wanted someone's approval so badly, but silence reveals that you've been shrinking just to fit into their comfort. Maybe you wanted a dream because it looked good on the outside, but silence exposes that it never, with who you're becoming. Silence doesn't take things away from you. It exposes the things that were never aligned with you in the first place. And that realization is both painful and liberating. Because once you see the truth in silence, you can no longer accept what breaks you. You can no longer chase what drains you. You can no longer cling to what was never meant to stay. Silence isn't passive. It's protective. It guards your heart, your energy, your purpose. It keeps you from confusing noise with direction, attention with love, and chaos with passion. In silence, what matters becomes clearer, what's real becomes louder, and what's meant for you becomes undeniable. Because when you get quiet enough to listen to your truth, you stop reaching for what you want and you start receiving what you need. There's a moment, maybe you felt it, where life becomes so loud that your thoughts feel like they're crashing into each other. You're overwhelmed, overstimulated, and overextended. And in that heaviness, you start believing you're losing control. But here's the truth. No one tells you. You're not losing control. You're losing connection to your inner quiet. Silence is the bridge back to clarity. Chaos tricks you into believing that every problem demands an immediate reaction. Silence reminds you that not every fire deserves your water. Chaos pushes you to respond. Defend, fight, argue. Silence teaches you to observe without losing yourself. Chaos wants urgency. Silence wants understanding. And the moment you step into silence, even a soft, small pause, your mind begins to reorganize itself. Thoughts that were tangled start to unravel. Emotions that felt heavy start to soften. Fears that looked enormous begin to lose their shape. Silence gives you the gift of perspective. It lets you look at your life from a higher place where you can finally ask, is this worth my energy? Is this truly my responsibility? Is this situation about me? Or is it about someone else's unhealed chaos? And the answers you receive in silence are answers you could never access in noise. In silence, you see people's intentions more clearly. In silence, you recognize your own patterns without judgment. In silence, you understand which battles matter and which battles are simply distractions pulling you away from your peace. Silence isn't running away. It's rising above. It's choosing clarity over confusion, meaning over drama, and grounding over reaction. And something beautiful happens when you start practicing this kind of quiet strength. Chaos no longer intimidates you. You stop absorbing every emotion around you. You stop letting every opinion shape you. You stop letting every situation control you, because clarity is power, and silence is where clarity begins. When you learn to return to silence, you reclaim the ability to think, to feel, and to decide from a place of truth, not pressure. There's a profound shift that happens when you pull your energy back and step into silence. People start showing you who they really are, not who they pretend to be, not who you hoped they were, not who they showed you when you were giving, talking, explaining, overextending, but who they are when you stop making it easy for them. Silence shines a light on truth in a way noise never could. When you stop reaching out first, pay attention to who reaches back. When you stop over-explaining, notice who listens more deeply. When you stop pouring from an empty cup, see who brings water instead of demands. Some people only love the version of you that was constantly available, constantly agreeable, constantly giving more than you received. Silence disrupts that pattern and disruptions reveal character. In silence, you'll discover who values your presence and who only valued your effort, who cherishes your heart and who cherished your convenience, who sees your worth and who only saw your usefulness. Yes, silence will make some people uncomfortable. That's because your absence exposes the imbalance they were benefiting from. And yes, silence will cause some people to drift away. That's because they were connected to your noise, not your soul. Let them drift. Silence filters your relationships the same way it filters your desires. It removes the ones who depended on the noise to stay close, and strengthens the ones who connect with you even when you're quiet. The people who genuinely love you won't disappear when you go silent. They won't punish you for needing space. They won't assume the worst or make you quiet about themselves. They will check on you. They will stand with you. They will honor your stillness instead of demanding your noise, because the right people don't need you loud to love you deeply. Silence doesn't just reveal others. It reveals how beautifully you deserve to be treated. And once you see that truth, you can't go back to accepting less than what honors your soul. One of the most life-changing lessons you will ever learn is this: you don't have to react to everything you feel. But most people never reach that level of emotional maturity because they never give themselves the gift of silence, the space where emotions can be understood instead of unleashed. Silence is not emotional suppression. Silence is emotional mastery. It's where you learn to sit with your feelings long enough to understand their origins instead of letting them explode into reactions you'll regret. It's where you learn to listen to what your heart is trying to say instead of drowning it out with impulsive responses. It's where you discover that not every emotion is command. Some are simply signals. In silence, you start asking deeper questions. Why did that trigger me? What wound is this emotion touching? Is this reaction coming from the present or from an old pain I never healed? These questions don't rise in noise. They rise in stillness. Noise wants you to respond instantly. Silence gives you the time to respond wisely. And in that pause, that sacred moment of self-control, you reclaim your power. You stop letting anger decide your words. You stop letting fear dictate your behavior. You stop letting insecurity shape your relationships. Silence teaches you to breathe before you break, to think before you speak, to understand before you assume. And that shift is where emotional maturity is born. People will look at your calm and think you've become distant. They won't realize you've become disciplined. People will mistake your silence for coldness. They won't know it's clarity. People will wonder why you don't react like you used to. They won't see that you've stopped giving your emotions to situations that don't deserve them. Mastering your emotions through silence doesn't make you detached. It makes you intentional. It turns your reactions into choices, your triggers into teachers, your vulnerability into wisdom. And when you master your emotional power, you no longer fear silence. You depend on it. There's a truth people rarely talk about. When you stop filling every space with your words, your presence becomes undeniable. Silence doesn't make you disappear. Silence makes you unforgettable. Because when you're no longer performing, explaining, pleasing, or trying to be understood, something remarkable happens. You become centered, grounded, and deeply aligned with yourself. And that kind of presence has a gravity to it. Silence sharpens your identity. When you're quiet, people notice your energy instead of your words. They feel your confidence instead of hearing your justification. They sense your boundaries instead of watching you defend them. Your presence becomes slow, steady, intentional. You stop scattering yourself in noise and you start gathering yourself in power. And let me tell you something, people can feel that shift. They'll feel your silence even louder than they once felt your voice. They'll feel your absence in ways they never appreciated your effort. They'll feel your boundaries in ways they ignored your explanations. That's the beauty of silence. It amplifies your value without you having to announce it. When you move in silence, you're no longer accessible to everyone. Your energy stops leaking. Your time becomes precious. Your attention becomes selective. And the world responds to that. Opportunities find you because you're no longer chasing noise. People respect you because you're no longer proving yourself. Your intuition strengthens because you've created space to hear it. Silence turns you into someone who people watch, not someone they overlook. It makes your presence magnetic because it shows that you no longer need validation to feel powerful. You're not quiet because you're unsure. You're quiet because you're certain of your worth, certain of your direction, certain of what deserves your energy and what doesn't. And that certainty It speaks louder than any words you could ever say. Silence doesn't reduce your presence, it refines it, it concentrates it, it elevates it. It turns you into the kind of person who doesn't chase attention, because attention naturally moves toward you. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop forcing outcome and start trusting silence. Life begins to align itself around your truth, not the version of you shaped by pressure, not the version of you shaped by fear, not the version of you shaped by trying to be enough for everyone else, but the version of you that rises when everything gets quiet. Silence teaches you something noise never will. What's meant for you doesn't require you to chase it, fight for it, or beg for it. It finds you when you're aligned, not when you're exhausted. When you stop speaking out of fear, you start acting from clarity. When you stop reacting out of insecurity, you start choosing from strength. When you stop shouting your worth, you start embodying it. And alignment is born from embodiment, not noise. In silence, you begin to recognize what resonates with your soul. You sense who brings peace and who brings emotional turbulence. You notice which opportunities ignite your spirit and which ones drain it. You feel which paths expand you and which ones shrink you. Silence turns off the volume of the world so you can finally hear the quiet wisdom within you. And the more you honor that inner voice, the more life shifts into place. Conversations start making sense, relationships become clearer, decisions become easier, your intuition becomes stronger, your path becomes visible. Silence aligns you with your authenticity, and authenticity aligns you with your destiny. The right people will rise toward your calm. The right opportunities will match your grounded energy. The right timing will appear when you stop trying to control the universe with your noise. And here's the breathtaking part. What's meant for you will never be intimidated by your silence. It will move toward you effortlessly, naturally, consistently, because silence doesn't block blessings, it clears the space for them. This is the moment you stop forcing and start allowing, because alignment is quiet. And everything meant for you grows in quiet places. Here's the most important thing I want you to remember. Your silence is not emptiness. It is power. It is the invisible force that attracts, shapes, and holds everything that truly belongs in your life. And the moment you fully embrace it, everything changes. Silence is the space where your soul speaks the loudest. It is where your worth no longer needs validation. It is where your heart, mind, and spirit align into a steady, unshakable force. When you stop filling every void with words, explanations, or defenses, you give life the room to move, and it does, always in your favor. The world may try to make you believe that silence is weakness, that quiet means you're invisible, powerless, or insignificant, but the truth is the exact opposite. Silence shows the depth of your courage. It demonstrates the magnitude of your confidence. It declares that you no longer need external approval to feel complete. And it signals to the universe that you are ready to receive everything you have been seeking, without forcing, without chasing, without begging. In silence, you find clarity, you find strength, you find the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the truest version of you. Noise can get attention, yes, but it cannot create alignment. Noise can demand love, recognition, or opportunity, but it cannot generate respect, trust, or destiny. Only silence does that. So stay quiet, stand still, protect your energy, trust the timing of your life, watch how the world begins to respond differently, not because you changed the world, but because you changed your relationship with yourself. The energy you carry in stillness is magnetic, inevitable, and transformational. Remember this, everything you've been chasing can come to you effortlessly, naturally, and powerfully if you allow yourself the courage to be silent. Your voice will matter more when it matters most. Your presence will resonate farther than noise ever could. And your life will become the proof that stillness is not the absence of action. It is the most profound form of action there is. So embrace silence, honor it, trust it, and watch as your world unfolds in ways that noise could never achieve. Your silence will attract what noise never could.